Hello and welcome back to the MMA Split Picks show. We have got a UFC Fight Night card coming up, headlined by Jessica Andrade, back at strawweight, taking on the rising contender, Amanda Lemos. It's not the highest name value, but there's some really good fights, and I am very excited about this main event. We will also be touching very quickly at the end on the boxing that is happening this weekend. Of course, Tyson Fury is back in the ring, defending his belt at Wembley, packed out for 96,000 people watching live against Dylan White in what apparently might be Tyson Fury's last fight. So we'll be touching on that very briefly. Please look out for a new section that we're going to be doing called our Lock of the Week, which we'll be discussing on one of the prelim fights. So we can go into that in a bit more detail as a kind of separate option for you guys. And as always, please like the video, particularly with the pick show. Feel free to add your own picks in the comments. If you beat any of us on the cards, we will give you a shout out on the podcast next week. Aside from that, guys, nowhere else to start. I will pass off to our new curator of the pick show, Sly himself, who'll be taking us through. And we read out, please, starting with the headline main event.
Oh yeah. So headlining, it's quite rare really, but this headlining main event is two girls. We got Amanda Lemos fighting Jessica Andrade. They both come back from they've both been winning for a while. Andres Lemos is 11-1, Jessica Andrade 22-9. Yeah, what do you guys think? Who's going to win this?
Misogyny out of the gate. I love it. No punches pulled. Um, women headline events. Women headline.
No, I'm just saying they don't headline. They don't headline many. Like I think it's 2 or 3 a year, and usually when it is, it's a tiny little event. I'm not saying that this is a tiny one, but yes,
yeah, they do tend to be good fucking fights.
They do it when they know they've got a banger, and they tend to do it more often than not with the strawweights because the strawweights is a deep division, and more often than not, it's gonna be somebody like Jessica Andrade that makes it a main event because you have got a 5'1" powerhouse with genuine knockout power, a purebred finisher who is looking to land damage, and you do not get that very often, particularly in this weight class. And she's up against a killer here. Like Amanda Lemos burst into the UFC, knocking girls out with head kicks, looking extremely dominant until she fought Angela Hill. And after the Angela Hill fight, I did kind of look at this and think, I'm not 100% sure if she's ready for an Andrade, particularly an Andrade that's just been fighting at flyweight, knows she can make the strawweight weight class pretty easily, and has been looking better than ever in our last few fights at flyweight. So, Josh, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are onto this. How do you think this is a good matchup? Do you think this is the right time, or do you think they're kind of propping her up a bit too quickly?
This is a fan-friendly matchup. This is a fight that Lemos really can't turn down. It's just too good an opportunity. You know, she's not getting any younger. I don't really understand why anyone in her camp has signed that contract. This does not feel like a winnable fight. You know, you can beat Andrade, but you have to be technical as hell. You have to be patient, cautious. I don't think Lemos has got a low fight IQ, but she can get a bit aggressive. Andrade is getting a steamroller. Does anybody disagree?
I like the fact that they've got so many tattoos. I mean, they're so similar, these two girls. They're so similar. First, the tattoos. Like, they both got an Indian. They both got a tiger. They're both pretty fucking good tattoos. Right, now let's talk about fighting. They're both active. Like, they both love to bang. Like, they're just there for the fight. They both are quite forward thinking, let's say. I don't want to say that they get into trouble easily, but yeah, they're forward thinking.
I like
They're
that.
not always thinking about defending, which is what is enjoyable. They both absorb a lot of hits. If you look at the stats, they're taking a lot of punches, but they're giving just as much. Um, I actually think this is going to be a really good fight. They've also both got really good grappling. The two really real, like, very well-rounded fighters, and they're very similar. So it should be an enjoyable fight. And I just don't imagine this being a cautious fight. I can't imagine them, standing around looking at each other for the first 3 minutes of the first round.
Their finishes.
Yeah, they're finishes, and this should be a finish. This is not going 5 rounds.
Well, that's the interesting thing because I don't. Maybe she did it before the UFC, but I haven't seen Lemos in a 5-round fight. She doesn't fight like a fighter who fights 5 rounds.
She's only won one fight by decision.
Yeah.
Has
Andrade
ever gone 5 rounds?
Andrade
She's
went
lost
5 rounds.
decisions, but only over 3 rounds, right?
No,
Didn't
she
go
lost
5 rounds
she lost to Joanna on decision over 5 rounds for the belt.
Oh, of course, yeah. So that literally was like you were impressed that she was able to stay away from her for 5 rounds.
It was.
I was
insane.
impressed when Rose stayed away from her for 3. You know, just
Rose was getting caught in that 3rd round, man.
And also, Andrade has got a quarter of her wins have come from decision.
She's
1/4. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
1 out of 4.
Yeah, she's a monster. And the thing is that you also have to factor in how many of those fights are at bantamweight. At bantamweight, she was just so drastically undersized that she couldn't really. It's just physics at that point in terms of your knockout potential. But once she actually went down into
she still had the power, but it's just the reach and the height difference was ridiculous.
Yeah. Once she went into her respectable weight classes, women started falling. I mean, the Carolina knockout is about as sweet of a knockout as you get. Obviously, what she did to Rose, which is heartbreaking but very impressive. You know, the things that she's done at flyweight, going steamrolling Cynthia Calvillo, KOing Chukagian, who's a perennial #1 contender at flyweight, with body shots. I mean, this is a scary lady, and there's no one at flyweight, at strawweight, that can do what Valentina Shevchenko did to her. There are people that can be more technical, but like you bring out that Joanna fight, for 5 rounds, Joanna is on her fucking bike, and she's landing, just constantly landing shots and moving. But there isn't a single point for 25 minutes where Andrade is not just forward at all times, just bopping back like that constantly.
It's 25 minutes of the matador in the ball. And Joanna is the matador the entire fucking time because Andrade is ridiculous.
Yeah. And listen, obviously Joanna won that fight, but Andrade is there to land damage. She does not give a fuck if you hit her. She will take 3 or 4 shots to land one back. And the thing that you can't account for is that being hit by Andrade, particularly at strawweight, I don't know if Lemos will ever have been hit by somebody that hard. She's probably sparred with men, but they're not hitting. Like, Andrade's power is akin to what you would see from men at the same weight class. I mean, it is fucking terrifying. She hits
you harder than your mum did when you were a kid. Like, you think about that size difference. That's how hard she hits.
Yeah. My mum just hit with words, but bang, they were hard. I'm kidding. I love you, Mum. Anyway, the thing with Lemos, I would say, is she is a counter striker. Andrade isn't technical. Andrade will charge forward. Lemos will be able to time her at certain points. I just don't see Lemos knocking Andrade out. And I don't see her being able to deal with just the power and the pressure. And the thing is, as well, is if it's all not working out, Andrade can just take her down. And Angela Hill took her down. I'm really sorry, but if Angela Hill can take you down, then fucking anybody can take you down. I love Angela Hill, but skills and weaknesses, come on here. So I'm kind of feeling Andrade, but I agree with Sly. I don't think it's going to be massively one-sided. I think there's going to be some back and forth.
Are we all 3 going for Andrade on this, or does Josh want to go for Lemos?
No,
Josh was the most confident on Andrade.
Come on, Josh, take Lemos, mate.
Look, again, I understand. Like, if you look at them as fighters, their level is more or less the same. But Andrade will knock her out, and she does not have the style to avoid Andrade for a full 25 minutes. And I don't think she'll last 10. I'm going to put that out there.
You don't think she'll last 10?
I'm saying,
like you said, Sly, and I really like this way. They're both forward-thinking fighters. Streets ahead with the offense, streets behind with the defense. Yeah, look, you want to go toe to toe with the hardest hitting person in the division, you're going to get knocked the fuck out.
Right. So are we all Andrade KO, or is someone
Ah,
gonna like make
Andrade
a little
KO.
twist?
No.
Inside of 3 for me.
All right. Cool. Shall we move on to Clay Guida?
Let's
Interesting
move on
Clay
to Clay
Guida.
Guida.
I can't wait to watch Clay Guida. I hope he fights many, many more fights. Today or tomorrow, so he's going to be fighting against Claudio Puelles, El Nino.
Players.
Puelles, is that how you say it? Puelles? I think it
Yeah, I
depends
think
where
it's
you're from.
Peruvian.
Oh, then it's definitely Puelles.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember
Puelles
it
has
was on
actually
that
got,
Chile card that I love
got
so
a really
much.
good record, this Peruvian guys. 12
He's
and 2.
fucking good.
Yeah. Is he good enough to beat Guida,
Well, here's
the
the
fucking
thing, man. His
carpenter?
submission game's on point. Okay, he had. If you think the Paul Craig triangle on Ankalaev was a great comeback, his fight at the Santiago card Chile, I can't remember who he was fighting. He basically gets his ass whooped for 3.5 rounds and then pulls off a miraculous comeback leg lock. Like, it was so impressive because I couldn't believe the guy was still in the fight at that point. He had literally got his ass whooped. He's a fun fighter. I love watching him fight. He is not that good outside of his submission game.
No, he's not very good on the feet at all. He's worse than Guida on the feet, which is saying quite a lot because Guida's terrible on the feet.
Yeah, Guido ain't gonna give
Um,
up that cheap submission
He's
either.
not terrible. It's
ah,
just that his striking is only there to serve a very specific purpose.
yeah, to
Yeah,
take someone down. So I always think that I look at the stats, Matt. I'm just looking at the stats. The guy, like, he's barely hitting people. He's getting hit more than he's hitting people. As soon as someone's getting hit more than they're hitting people, I'm gonna be like classifying their like stand up as pretty rubbish. Like, if you're the top of if you're the top of UFC, you're the second fight on a card, you'd expect to be hitting more than you're getting hit. That's my point of view.
or be a knockout artist.
Yeah, I'll be
It's the only
fucking.
way to justify that.
But these two guys have like they don't knock people out. I mean they've won. Oh, Perez has actually won a fight by knockout. So two
Back
actually
in the
in his
day,
career.
right?
Yeah, two in his career. I don't know where they are. I just see that in the stats. I mean, he's never knocked down someone, but this is quite unbelievable. His knockdown average per 15 minutes is 0. So I don't know how he knocked this guy out. Maybe he was already on the floor, ground and pound. I don't really know. I didn't see the fight.
Was it in the UFC you got a knockout?
That's what I'm trying to look up. I don't think so.
If it was outside the UFC, if you just got the UFC stats up, and also if it's Tapology, they don't have the stats for like the older ones, but they'll have the record.
Okay. That makes sense. Makes sense.
My favorite is when they don't even know the method, because it was like
Oh, no,
some
no.
real low budget regional mum and pop kind of MMA organization. It just says win or
Oh,
loss.
yeah. Pulis actually got knocked out on his UFC debut against Bravo in
I remember,
2016
yeah.
in second round. Yeah, this is gonna be a really good fight. I personally I really want to pick Gator. I feel like I might get it wrong by picking Gator, but I really want to. I don't know what you guys think. I know
You want
where
to, or
Josh
are
is
you
going.
going to? Or are those two
I
different things?
I'm probably going to because I want to, and I do what I want.
Strong.
But now
Yeah.
we're tracking it, you got to pick tactically, right?
It's just the fact that this guy can submit. It's the maths, the maths that I've been talking about. We're playing guys that can
Guida's
submit.
got that strong wrestling game though, where he
Yeah.
doesn't really throw up cheap ones. Technically you could submit Clay Guida, but you've got to be
Well, you
very
gotta have.
strong and aggressive with your submission game. You can't just get away with waiting for them to make a mistake and fall into it.
And you
Clay
gotta have
doesn't really
you
play
gotta
that
have
game.
such long arms, man. This guy's neck is fucking massive. Like, how are you gonna get your arms around that neck? You need like, it's not
Yeah.
easy. He's
Yeah,
he's a
you know,
strong
there's those
guy.
submission artists that set things up and hunt things and go aggressive with things, like Oleanic, Oliveira, fucking TC. And then there are the people that are a lot more, and Paul Craig, I'll throw on that list as well.
Mm.
And then there are those guys that have to be a lot more opportunistic. They wait for you to make a mistake and then they pull it off. And if I'm being honest, Damien Mai would fall in that camp, mostly because he was also very much position over submission. He didn't
That's
give
what I was
anyone
going
an
to say. I
opportunity
feel
to
like
fuck things up.
Damien Mai was more of a top control guy. Like he struggled to sometimes get the fight there, but once he had you in top control, you were kind of just you were subbed or you were there for the round.
He wouldn't allow for a stand up but he would have a ref constantly thinking about asking for a stand up. You know, he understood how to toe that line and just win fights. It was very impressive. Claudio Puelles, he's gonna have to wait for Clay Guida to get very tired or very sloppy. And I don't care how old that boy gets, he just doesn't do those things.
Yeah. How do you see? I see him winning by decision. That is Guida.
Decision.
Who, for Guida as well?
By decision. Yeah, Guida all day.
But you've been talking this big game about
I'm
Claudio
allowed to
Puelles.
hype up the fight. I love watching Claudio Puelles fight, but he's not going to win this one. It will be a fun fight because even if he gets his ass absolutely handed to him, he will stay in that fight. You know, he can be finished, but if you're not actively finishing him, he's not going to fucking quit or break. He will be in it till the end. And Clay Guida is just...
The other thing is Clay Guida is going to be constantly trying to put the fight into Puelles' world. It's not like Puelles is going to be up against a guy with sick takedown defense. He's going to light him up on the feet. Guida's going to go to that area. You know, he's going to trust his wrestling. And there's a very strong chance that he's going to get himself in trouble, which is why I've actually picked Puelles by sub.
Okay, I think that's makes sense.
I love that this is competitive now, because rather than you guys both going, what, no way, you're just secretly delighted because you think Guida's going to win, and I've just fucked it on the picks by going.
No, I have. No, I think this is 50-50 fight. I think Puelles is going to win. I think statistically, Puelles has got more chance to win. I think he's been put there to win because obviously he's a newcomer. If he fights and beats a legend with a nice submission, his name goes up, the stock of the UFC goes up, you know. But I want Clay to win.
Guida also said that he wants young fighters. After he beat Leonardo Santos, he was just like, UFC, why you keep giving me all these veterans, man? Let me fight the young blood. So UFC, you're obliging.
You guys are going to be...
How old is Puelles?
26.
Okay.
14-year age.
He came in young then. I swear he's been in like 4 or 5 years in the UFC.
2016 debut.
Yeah, we just talked about it, Josh. Come on, are you here?
I didn't hear the 2016 bit, no. I just heard you guys talking about young fighters, and I was thinking, how young is he? Because he's been in the UFC for a minute. Look, you're sticking with Guida on this one?
I'm sticking with what I said, Guida by decision. You gone for decision as well, no, Josh?
Yeah, I'm going decision as well. He's going to grind him up against the fence. He's going to do some dirty boxing. He's going to understand how to maintain distance on the feet, and it's going to be a fun fight for me. For the absolute casuals that just like kickboxing or just out and out like submission grappling, probably won't be that fun.
All right, well, moving on. Talking about submission, we've got Montana de la Rosa, who's really fucking good at submitting people, and she's going against Macy Barber, who's I think she's more of a KO kind of girl. It's a girl fight that, again, I don't see going all the distance. Macy Barber, Montana de la Rosa, what do you guys think?
I hate myself for my pick.
Why?
Are you picking Barber, are you?
I have to. I'm 3.5 points down on our fucking pick show, guys. I need to eliminate all preferential bias. And I'm a big fan of Montana de la Rosa. And I hate Macy Barber. Macy Barber is a fucking bull in a china shop. She kind
of sucks a little bit. So I haven't picked her. It wasn't like, well, I don't like her, so I won't pick her. She's all mouth, so I won't pick her.
You know, I
think this fight will go 3 rounds. De La Rosa is a scrappy chick, but she's smart, and you know, she's a little bit better than people think she is, to be honest. Macy Barber is not quite, or is nowhere near as good as everyone. Well, I wouldn't say everyone still feels that way, but she's not as good as she thinks she is. She's not as good as her camp thinks she is. There's no way they've prepared for De La Rosa properly. I'm going to take Montana by decision.
Deep. I've gone for Montana by sub. I just think, although I think Macy Barber is actually really good. She has 9-2. She's a really decent fighter. I just think, yeah, she's gonna walk into some stupid submission. I think she'll probably start heavy, get a few punches away, put Montana into like on her back foot, and then she'll go forward a bit too much, and Montana take advantage of it and submit the shit out of her. Now, if she doesn't submit her, she'll win by decision by control. No, fuck it. Montana is going to win by submission. That's my choice.
I'm going Barber decision. I don't like Macy Barber, but she's extremely strong for the division. A lot of girls have struggled with her size and power. There's no fucking way she won against what's her fucking name? The Maverick.
Miranda
Miranda
Mm.
Maverick. There's no way she won that fight, and she was gifted it. But even with that, even Miranda Maverick was struggling with just her kind of size and power at a certain point. And I know Roxy beat her with technique, but I know Alexa Grasso beat her, but you know Roxy was a legend, and Alexa Grasso is a potential title contender. So I don't think
It's
Montana De La Rosa's there. I'm saying Barber decision.
okay. Just be careful confusing the Maverick and Maverick, as those two are two different fighters. One of them's UFC, and the other one is starting to be a boxing legend. So let's try and not confuse them.
I
Right,
don't think there are many situations where I'm going to confuse Miranda Maverick with Logan Paul.
the Maverick.
I think
Just saying.
there's many different.
That's his fucking nickname.
Moving on to a very one-sided fight with two lads that definitely never leave the sides. We've got Romanov against Sherman. I'm going to let Josh go on about this because I know you have a lot to say.
Well,
So
we're
we're
gonna
going
be
to look at the
covering
week,
this
right?
in our
So
lock of
should
the week.
we save the bulk of this for the extra
Okay.
content?
All right,
You
we'll
guys
just
got to
give our
click
pick.
on over, you know.
All right, we'll just give
an
our
extra
pick.
like, please. Yeah, let's just give the picks. Yeah.
All right.
Romanov
Should I just speak for all of us?
Go for it. Try
Is
it.
that-
Let's see what you say.
I don't think anyone's not going Romanov KO.
Oh, I'm going sub.
There you see.
You going sub? Okay. You both going sub.
No, I'm going to go KO. Actually, fuck it, I'll go sub just for trolling.
So you can remember, anytime he breathes a little heavy, and that breath is chased on the chin, it's liable to get knocked the fuck out. It's food for thought.
All right, cool. Oh,
Kidding, Chase. I love you, really.
We'll talk more about that later. Lando Groovy Venata is going up against Charles R. Jordan, a classic United States against Canada. You guys got
Best
much
fight
thoughts
on
of
the card.
this?
Best
You think
fight
that's-
on the card.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hands
best
down.
fight, yeah.
There is
Wow.
literally no way this fight's a shit.
There's
Yeah,
no way.
And I'm
this
not
fight
even
shit.
jinxing it. I'm not even jinxing it by saying it because there's literally no fucking way that this fight is not awesome. Both guys, super technical, super creative, super aggressive. They are, you know, we're talking about the main event being forward minded. These guys are like forward minded with flying knees and spinning shit and everything that you can imagine. I mean, Lando Venata used to be a lightweight and he made his debut in the UFC against Tony Ferguson and went to fucking war with Tony when Tony was at the height of his like boogeyman status.
Yeah, this was one of the Khabib fights that fell apart. It's when Lando slipped in, man. Last time I felt this way about a fight was Cub Swanson against Doo Ho Choi. Okay, and that recently got put in the UFC Hall of Fame. I'm pretty fucking psyched for this fight.
Yeah.
Matt said it all. There's no way this won't be a great fight. The only thing I keep going backwards and forwards on is the result.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
In the end, I've kind of decided that Lando Venata is probably going to handle Jordan's strategy and abilities a little better. Then I think we'll be able to adapt to Lando. It's not like Lando's some crazy MMA savant. You know, he's not the most cerebral fighter, but he does set things up well. He hides things well. And he has got a lot more kind of savvy vet grit than Jordan. He's fought against slightly better fighters. I'm going to take the specific experiences he has and going to give him a little bit of an edge. That's as much as I can think to separate these two.
The best way I can separate them is Lando Venata is creative. Jordan is wild. So Lando Venata will set, as Josh says, he'll set things up creatively, and he'll kind of do a couple of things on the fly. But they're technical, and they're you know there's a well thought out nature to them. Charles Jourdain will launch a Superman punch from a foot away with no setup, or a flying knee with no defense up. because he just doesn't give it. He just presses the fuck it button. He is a live by the sword, die by the sword kind of guy, but he gets hit. And I think Vinas is just a little bit more responsible and a little bit less crazy on that side. I've gone, I can't remember if I went KO or decision. Let me check. I've gone Vanessa decision.
Yeah. Okay. And you,
We're
Josh?
back on the same path.
Yeah.
You and me are picking all the same in the moment, but me and Matt have diverged a lot in this one. I'm
I'll
also going
divert.
Vanessa decision.
No, I'll divert. I'll take Jordan by KO just to divert. And also just Veneta, just he's not a finisher. He doesn't really submit, doesn't KO people. I'm sure he's able to. Yeah, but he never does it.
He did who's that fucking other Canadian? Oh my god, he broke his jaw.
I'm trying to go down it, but it's loading.
Great head kick. Huh? No, not Urban Mercier. Like he's Canadian, but it's like less obvious that he's Canadian. It's gonna come back to me. We're not sponsored, but the stores in Bickle might be plus.
Is it
gonna make you forget some shit? McDessie, John McDessie, yes.
That's in 2016. That's in 2016. By now he's forgotten how to knock people out, mate. That's like 5-6 years ago.
He used to be at lightweight though, and he's down at featherweight, and he's a lot more powerful at featherweight.
Anyway, I'm gonna go Jordan by KO, and I hope that I am correct and that you guys are wrong. Should we move on?
Horrible thing to say.
What? That I'm correct and you guys are wrong. This is a competitive podcast. I every week I have to stress
each other.
I don't love anyone.
To each other.
I don't love anyone.
Okay.
Anyway, top of the prelims, the Beverly Hill Ninja Jordan Wright is going up against Power Bar Mark Andre Barriol. Again, this is United States against Canada. Matt, take us away.
Jordan White can have a fight and look really, really good, and then he can also look really good in the fight and then get quite brutally knocked out. He's a little bit too chin in the air, not quite defensively there, but has some good offensive stuff. The thing is, he's fighting Mark Andre Barrios, and Barrios is just this. I don't know how to describe him really, because he's not really bad at anything. He's not really great at anything. He's just kind of there. You know, he doesn't set the world on fire, but he is the kind of fighter that could just nullify and kind of deal and take advantage of the holes in somebody like Jordan Wright's game. Or Jordan Wright could just catch him and look really sharp because he's still young and he's improving. So I've gone for the Beverly Hills Ninja by KO because I kind of like the kid and I want to see him do well. And I don't think Barrios is going to throw anything back at him that's going to really make him pay for some of his defensive errors. And the kid's got power, so he can knock people out.
I think you're too kind to Barrios. I'll say he is quite bad. What he is just he's sort of like a physical specimen, but like an aging one. He's where I imagine Yoel Romero will be when Yoel was 50. I think that's kind of how I could best describe him physically.
Dude, Yoel Romero was probably 50 like 3 years ago.
Probably. You know, them Cuban birth certificates, not worth the paper they're printed on. Barrios, though, I am going to pick him. Like you say, Jordan Wright can be a little chinny, can be a little. It's not that he's poor defensively, but when he gets going, he drops his hands. You know, I think Barrios is just going to kind of take the barrage, and he's just going to get some cheap moments just to win rounds. I think this one's going to go all 3 rounds. I think Jordan Wright will look good in spaces, but mostly this will be kind of an ugly fight. I think mostly they'll regret this little bit of matchmaking. Barrios will move on, and everyone will try and forget about it. They'll run power bar by decision.
Sly.
You've lost the audio.
You've lost audio. You may have muted yourself by accident. Check if you've muted yourself.
I don't think he's on mute. I think we've actually lost audio. I could fill this time for him, but I want to wait and see what he says next.
I'm sure he's going to figure it out.
Hello, sorry. I was going to go for Jordan Wright by KO. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes,
hello?
We can hear you, yeah.
But since it didn't let me say it...
acknowledge that, sorry.
No, since it didn't let me say it, I'm going to turn around my decision and I'm going to go for Barrio by KO. There must be a reason why it decided to go off without me touching anything.
My
And it must-
compelling salesmanship, right?
Yeah, no, it's just my mic went off as I said it, and I had a good explanation and everything. So clearly, that is not supposed to be. So instead of Jordan White, I will go for Barrio by KO. Cool. Should we move on? Dwight White against Sergey Kandosgo. Fuck. Does anyone want to try and say that? Sergey Kandosko? Kandosko? I don't know.
Kandoshko, I think Kandoshko is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, they've both been losing. They both come from a loss. I've seen Dwight Brown lose so many times in the UFC. I've seen him win a few times, but I've seen him lose quite a bit. Maybe it's because I always watch the fights where he
He's lost
loses.
4 fights.
But were they in a row? I'm just trying to have a look. No.
Didn't
He's lost.
someone pull out of this
well,
fight?
He's lost 2 of his last 3. Okay. I don't know. I don't have much information apart from the fact that these guys are going head on.
Is this the one Louis Koske was supposed to be in, or? Oh no, never mind. That was a different fight that got rearranged. Yeah, this one is a little bit of a tepid matchup, but you know sometimes that makes for the most entertaining battle. It's really about as much as I've got to say on this one. These 2 guys are no, they don't really ever blow me away. Could be a fun fight. You know, maybe sometimes you just got to get the right opponent. I bet this one was cheap.
I've gone Grant by decision.
Yeah. Go on by decision. That's interesting.
I don't know the other guy. I know nothing about the other guy. The record looks impressive, but I don't know. Even in the losses, like Dwight Grant, I think he lost to Slow Mike. I didn't think he was bad in that fight.
Yeah, I've got Grant by KO, so I must still be supporting the guy somehow. I just don't know the other guy. What do you have, Josh?
He's had a few UFC fights. I've gone. Actually, this is his 3rd UFC fight. I've gone Grant by decision.
Okay.
This was when I saw the bookies were favouring Sergey, but again, when it's that tight, that much action means nothing. It does surprise me though, because a lot of those Russian betting accounts are suspended. I don't know where the action's coming from. Fuck it, Grant decision.
Right. So going from 2 guys who have lost their last 2 fights to 2 other guys who have lost their last fights. Tyson Pedro from Australia.
Ooh.
And Ike.
Tyson Pedro won his fight against inactivity, and he's coming back. Touch wood.
Yeah, that loss you're referring to was in 2018, I think, maybe even.
And it was close as fuck. It was a really fun fight, and he almost had him out before he got caught.
Right, and that was in when? 2018, yeah, against Rua. Okay, sweet. Do you know anything about the other guy, BK Villanova? He's been fighting for a while.
Yeah, he shouldn't be fighting in this weight class. He's like a mid-30s Texas Mexican American who has got nice hands, throws well. You get the impression he counters well when he's in shape. You know, he's got some solid technique behind there, but he basically looks like he's rolled off the couch to take every fight. He'll give you a good 3-4 minutes, then everything gets a little more slowed down. And if he was fighting at like middleweight or something, I think he'd be a real fucking lively prospect, or albeit a very fucking old one.
He's a perennial regional fighter. You know, he's in his 30s, been given a shot at the UFC because of short notice and guys falling out over COVID, and he got a really impressive knockout win against Vinicius Moreira that kind of bought him some stock. But since then, he's looked just not quite there. Tyson Pedro, as Josh said, great back and forth with Sergey Rua. But the question is
and
like,
OSP.
But when a guy's been out for 3.5 years, you do have questions. Ike Villanova is about as close as you get to a tune-up fight in the UFC. So I'm going Pedro by KO.
Yeah, definitely Pedro by KO. Actually, no, fuck it. Pedro by sub.
Pedro decision. Got a full house, gentlemen.
Nice.
Again, ring rust is real. I'm fucking hyped on Pedro. He needs to get a few under his belt after all that long fucking layoff. Villanova was just the perfect fodder.
Cool. Next fight on the prelims is in English. We've got a guy from the United Kingdom. I don't know where he's from.
I've seen him fight before.
Yeah, in real life, no?
Yeah, in real life. I think he's from Essex, Kamchida.
And he's taking on Ira Quileng. Ira Quileng from
Right.
Mongolia. Yeah, again, two fighters who lost their last fights on paper. Should be an interesting fight though. It's always nice to see the English up there. It's also nice that Cameron Else has never won by decision. So we expect this to go, to be a forward-thinking fighter again.
Is Arichi Lang, is he the Mongolian murderer?
I think he is the Mongolian murderer. Does that mean that he's not Mongolian, but that he's Chinese?
I believe I recall that being the case. I think he lists his country as China, but he's the
Yeah,
Mongolian murderer. And we had this whole conversation about, is he saying that he is a great murderer from
yeah.
Mongolia, or is he saying that he is a great murderer of Mongolians? Because both
Clearly
can
the
kind of
second.
be, how the English sounds there. I've got a feeling about Cameron Else. He's had a bit of a rough run in the UFC. I think his first couple of fights were in like really unfortunate circumstances, like short notice, and he just kind of chucked himself in, and it didn't really paint the best of what he can do. But I've heard a lot of people say that he's good, like genuinely good.
Well,
And
he's only had the one fight in the UFC. It was a while ago, but it was Kyler Phillips.
but he had two.
No, he's only had one fight in the UFC.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, very very inactive. He is good. Trains at Jackson Wink. I actually saw him lose to Damo Whedon, but Damo was in front of the hometown crowd and he was really hyped up for that one. He caught him and he knocked him out. I don't know why he's so inactive, because he's obviously spending a lot of money training away in America and very committed, having relocated his whole life and everything. It's a shame he's not as active as we would like him to be. And Quileng, two fights in the UFC, 2 losses. Maybe he's murdering the Mongolian reputation. That's my best guess. I fucking don't know on this one. I've gone back and forth so many times.
I've gone for
Rory
England by
Quileng.
KO. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
I'm going
went
to Quileng
Else
by
in the end.
decision.
Yeah, I
I'm
went for
going
Cameron
Else
by
to-
KO.
I'm actually going Else decision. I know he's never won a decision, but I think it's going to happen for him on Saturday.
Okay. Anything can happen Saturday. Next fight is a debutant, Even Elder. I know nothing about him except for the fact that he is from the United States and he is fighting against Preston Pressure Parson, who is a submission genius. So, what do you guys know about Even Elder?
Absolutely nothing.
Josh, you must know
he's,
something.
He's coming. Louis Koske got COVID this week. So that's the sure nice one, because the Koske brothers came through the Contender Series. I'm pretty sure I'm fucking up their surname anyway. But they're fun fighters. And I was kind of excited for this one, even though I'm not like a huge Preston Parsons fan. I only seen him once when he lost to Daniel Rodriguez. D-Rod will do that to a lot of guys. This one would have been a contender for Look of the Week if Romanov wasn't fighting, I reckon. I don't know how much faith I'm going to put in the short notice replacement. Haven't even heard buzz about his name. I mean, maybe I ain't got my ear close enough to the ground. It just feels like they're just desperate to kind of keep this fight alive because there's so many fights dropping off on this card. Parsons by decision.
Oh, and Parsons decision.
I went Parsons by sub, just to clarify that. And then the second fight in is Marcin Prashnio against Felipe Monstro Lins. Just a quick thing. Bruce Buffer's so good, man, at saying all these names. Like I read these names like 10 times, try and say it, can't even pronounce it. And he's like shouting it. He knows exactly how to say their names. Bruce Buffer deserves his job, man. He's so good. Right.
Bruce
yeah.
Buffer actually
John
says,
Alex,
just
too.
on a little side point, is he says it's not the names that everyone else struggles with that he finds difficult, because the more syllables he's got to work with, the more emphasis he gets to put on the name. The hardest is when you get a one syllable like first and last name, because there's just no way to say it in a cool way. It's like with Khabib, he's Khabib's example. It's like, I can go, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and you get those nice little sort of beats that you can go with. But he said, when I have to say like Frank Trigg, there's no way that you can really like emphasize it in the same way. So he finds those tricky ones. The long
Is
ones.
that why Felipe Lins is Felipe Monstro Lins? Because otherwise he finishes on a Lins, which is not a very powerful kind of like name.
That would be another example. Felipe Lens.
That sounds like a girl. Cool. So what do you guys have on this fight?
Practically a light heavyweight
Lens-
usually.
Yeah, Lins has finally gotten down to 205. You know, he won PFL at heavyweight, has done fucking awfully in the UFC at heavyweight. Kind of makes sense. I think it's interesting. Against a different opponent, I might be more kind of intrigued, but I think Marcin Prachnio is going to fuck him up a little bit.
Prachnio took
I
his time to get comfortable in the UFC, but since last couple of fights, he looks like he's here and he's at the level.
Yeah, he's nothing special, but you know, Lindsay's look really fucking pedestrian. I don't know if a division change is going to be a help or a hindrance. I mean, he wasn't huge at heavyweight. If he's cut down, he's really serious. I haven't taken a look at how he's looking this week. I guess weigh-ins are probably happening almost now. But shit, unless I'm given a real fucking good reason to get excited about Felipe, I'm just not going to do it. Prachnio by decision.
Same.
Yeah, I took Prachnio by KO actually, because I think he's going to really hurt him. And then the fight that will get us kicked off, the fight that people will start watching the UFC on, is Dean the Sniper Bowie, who has a very, very, very interesting tattoo game. So interesting that he has shaved every single part of his body so that you can really see his tattoos. I mean, except for the legs. And he will be fighting Mike the Truth Jackson, who is probably one of the hairiest guys that I've seen in the UFC. I don't know if the pictures that I get on the UFC webpage are the ones that, that's the way they're going to look.
Well, they don't really like Mike Jackson, so I'm pretty sure they're not going to do him any favors with the picture. Mike Jackson's the journalist that they gave a UFC contract to fight Mickey Gall for the right to fight CM Punk. And after losing to Mickey Gall, they decided that CM Punk was going to have a second fight. So that's when he lost to Mike Jackson.
No. With this,
you remember how bad that fight was?
It's so Mike Jackson has a UFC record of 0-1 and 1. Let me explain this. Okay, this is how bad he is. He lost to Mickey Gall, which is already terrible. Mickey Gall obviously beats CM Punk. They give CM Punk the second chance against Mike Jackson. And he fights just so awfully that Dana White, even on the back of that, says this guy will never fight for us in the UFC again, because to not be able to just easily put away the level of opponent that was clearly in front of you means that you are just never going to be at the level of the UFC. And then to make it even sweeter, the fight became a draw because Mike Jackson tested positive for marijuana, which was bannable at the time. So he didn't even beat CM Punk.
I thought he took an official no contest for it, or didn't CM Punk officially get credited with a win? Maybe.
No. It's down.
Yeah, you remember at the end of the fight, he's literally jabbing CM Punk, watching it. So he's not looking at CM Punk; he's looking at it on the big screen from the camera angle, and that's what really made Dana's blood boil. He's like, you could have been finishing this guy, and instead you're fucking showboating with the big screen. Like, yeah. Dana doesn't like him. I don't like him. I think a lot of people aren't excited for him.
I'm genuinely surprised to see him on the card. I didn't think he'd actually ever fight again.
I'm pretty sure they just want to set something real violent, up. They just want Dean Barry to fucking smash his arsehole in. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be some non-consenting man love. This is going to be fucked up. It's going to get ugly.
Wow, I love your description of it. I can't wait to watch this fight now. You don't like Mike Jackson either, clearly, Josh.
Nah, as a person, I don't know, but as a fighter, fuck no. Get him off the card. That's my opinion always.
So can we just assume it's Barry KO's all round?
Yeah.
Jackson, I don't know what. Yeah, I'll just do Barry by KO. I don't know what kind of fighter he is, but yeah, Barry KO. I don't know anything about him. I don't even have stats.
He's a real fighter. He's an actual fighter. Mike Jackson, not a fighter.
Cool.
Mike Jackson never won a fight officially.
Really?
I mean, it's what happens. What happens if he's struggling and it gets to round two? It's not like his corner can team. Just use all of your experience to get you through this.
Yeah,
On
true.
that note, that is the pick show, guys. As always, and remind you again, if you do want to put your own picks down, see if you do better, we will give you a shout out next week. And with Josh leading with 3.5 and Sly on 1.5 and me on 0, I really need this to come my way. And as you can see, I've gone very differently on my selections from you two. So I'm either going to win it or lose it.
That's
Alright.
you're either gonna win it or lose it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's kind of how the
I
picks
know what
go.
he means, though. I know what he means.
It's not going to be down to like
It's,
one swing fight, then everything else is just fucked.
Yeah, that's me and Sly this week. We've gone almost identical. All right,
Yeah.
guys,
Okay,
go
guys,
watch
thank you very
now.
much.
Split of the week, doing lock of the week this week.
And look out for
And,
our little preview of Fury versus White as well. As always, enjoy the fights. And by Dave, by Laura, by Trifo.
Bye,
Bye-bye,
Laurie.
guys.
Bye, Dave.